All right, welcome back to Breakout Charts, your weekly drop on the companies and charts I think are ready to break out with potential for a huge upside, finding the companies nobody else is talking about and putting them on your radar so you can get in early. This week, we're talking about IREN, ticker IREN, and is one of the most interesting setups I've seen in this space right now. It sits at the intersection of two of the hottest themes in global markets, AI infrastructure and Bitcoin mining. As usual, in this video, I'll cover the sector backdrop, the company fundamentals, recent performance, and then we'll dig into the charts to uncover why I think it's a candidate for a potential big breakout. I'll also include entry and stop loss plan. As always, this is totally for educational purposes only and not financial advice, so let's get into it. So let's start with the sector, because understanding why this space is on fire right now is critical context before we look at the company and the charts. So obviously, we're living through one of the largest infrastructure build-outs in human history. The hyperscaler cloud expansion and data center arms race is at full pace and is growing at a rate that the grid simply was never designed to handle. And we can see here how it's split up in terms of the demand for data centers. You've got the non-AI component, which is kind of the traditional component, if you'd like. We've then got the AI inference and then AI training. And you can see between 2026 and 2030, that's due to more than double. What's driving this? Well, it's obviously the hyperscalers. Hyperscaler cloud expansion is growing at a rate that the grid can't handle. You've got Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, all the big boys. They're all spending hundreds of billions of dollars building out these data centers so that their models can be the first in this AI arms race. And the AI data centers market itself is predicted to 10x over the next 10 years. So between 2026, we've got 22 billion, moving up to almost 200 billion by 2035. Interestingly, the single biggest constraint on the build out at the moment isn't money, it's engineers and it's power. Finding large scale, low cost, reliable power at the scale needed for these modern AI workloads is one of the hardest problems in infrastructure right now. And we can see that the demand for that power for global data center capacity is also set to double in the next 9 years or so. Most jurisdictions simply can't provide it fast enough. Grid connection times in most developed economies are measured in years. The companies that have already solved that problem, that already have the land, the power agreements, and the grid connections, and the facilities built out, have an enormous structural advantage. And IREN is one of those companies. They have built a large-scale, low-cost power platform in North America specifically, designed for this high-performance computing, meaning AI data center workloads. That's not the future plan, and they're doing it right now. And that is what separates them from a lot of the competition. Positions them directly in front of one of the most powerful capital expenditure cycles the world has seen. The second sector tailwind behind IREN is Bitcoin. Bitcoin recently completed its most recent halving cycle, which historically has been the precursor to the most significant price appreciation. Now, I know we've seen Bitcoin price come down significantly, but I think that price appreciation is still ahead. The halving that occurred over a year ago now reduces the new supply of Bitcoin entering the market by about 50%. And when you combine reduced new supply with the structural demand being created by Bitcoin ETFs, institutional adoption, you've got BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, which became one of the fastest growing ETF launches in history. You have this classic supply demand setup building. For Bitcoin miners like IREN, the dynamics are interesting. Post-halving, mining revenue per unit of compute drops, which forces that consolidation towards the most efficient and lowest cost operators. The miners who survive and thrive are the ones with the lowest cost of power, the highest efficiency machines, and the ability to diversify their revenue beyond just Bitcoin mining. And that's exactly the strategic pivot IREN has made. But here's the key point for our purposes. Bitcoin mining stocks like IREN tend to have significant beta to Bitcoin price movements, and that's still the case. When Bitcoin moves, these names tend to move more. So you're getting this leverage to the crypto cycle on top of the AI infrastructure story, and that's a powerful combination. And it's interesting when you go to IREN's website now, the first thing you see is AI cloud for the next big thing. No mention of Bitcoin, whilst they still have Bitcoin and it's still sitting on the balance sheet, and they're still, in some cases, using the old ASICs to mine Bitcoin. They're really positioning themselves as an AI data cloud data center build out company with power. So the company is headquartered in Vancouver, but operates its data center infrastructure across North America. The core of what IREN does is building and operating large scale, low cost data center facilities powered exclusively by renewable energy. So they started as a Bitcoin miner using cheap hydro and wind power to mine Bitcoin. But over the last 12 months, they have aggressively been pivoting into this expanding high performance computing, specifically AI GPU cloud infrastructure. On the AI side, they have been rapidly deploying the NVIDIA H100 GPU clusters for AI cloud, as mentioned. And this is now really at the forefront of what they're doing. This is the same hardware that every AI lab, hyperscaler, and AI enterprise team is scrambling to get their hands on. And they've taken delivery of a huge capacity of H100 GPUs and is actively contracting that out to customers at strong utilization rates. And that revenue trajectory reflects this transition. IREN has been reporting consistent quarterly growth quarter on quarter as this high-powered compute contribution grows alongside the traditional Bitcoin mining. Like I said, though, interestingly, what they're pushing really is this vertically integrated AI cloud composition with land, grid and power, with the power being crucial, data center builds, the actual compute itself, and then their own technology stack as well. IREN has raised capital, obviously, at key moments to fund this expansion into AI data centers, rather than waiting for that, the time needed to remove that position of weakness. And that's a really good sign of that management discipline. They're not debt stressed, and they're actively deploying capital into growth. I think that management quality matters here, that they've been able to be very deliberate and transparent in communicating that strategic pivot from that pure play Bitcoin miner to an AI infrastructure operator. And they've demonstrated they understand both the technology and the capital market side of the business, which is often where resource heavy tech companies can fail. But you're not just buying the current business, you're buying a platform with significant optionality around how value ultimately gets crystallized as this AI build out moves forward. So summing it up, AI infrastructure demand is structural and accelerating. Bitcoin supply is tightening post-halving with institutional demand growing, and IREN is one of the few companies with the low-cost power platform, the deployed GPU infrastructure, and the operating track record to benefit from both trends simultaneously. Now, moving over to the charts. This has to be one of the cleanest price and indicator setups I've seen for a while. I've got my 4-tile setup. Bottom left-hand corner, I've got my monthly. Bottom right-hand corner, my weekly. Top right-hand corner, my daily. And top left-hand corner, my weekly with my ATR indicator and my RSI 20 and RSI 5. I've also got my 18-week and 40-week simple moving average. And then below the price and volume, I've got the MACD and the ADX indicator. So, as always, starting with the monthly. So as you can see, IREN was really beaten down throughout 2021, 2022, right into December 2022. And since then, in early 2023, it's been on a consistent uptrend throughout the next 2.5 years until it went right up to this high of $72, $73. So this momentum, change from 2022 to 2025 not only reflects that sort of change in the risk on environment, but also reflects a genuine fundamental re-rating as this AI pivot story became credible and started moving into IREN's favor. What we can also see here is this really nice growth in volume, indicating that institutional investors have got their fingerprints on this one as well. Price has moved into this nice consolidation area, and we'll talk about this more on the weekly chart. But a really nice orderly consolidation. We're seeing that the MACD has been able to cool off, but hasn't really been overridden at all. And we can still see that our ADX has remained in very positive territory. The sellers, even during this pullback, have been fairly weak, and it's just given us an opportunity for the ADX to cool off as this pullback has been undertaken. Moving across to the weekly, which is, I think, the most interesting. And obviously, when we're looking at these charts, it's the monthly and the weekly that we're really looking at to get our thesis together. The daily's really here just to give us an indication of timing on the lower time frame, but really this is a high time frame play. We're looking at 3 to 6 months minimum, and beyond that, the opportunity to really take big profits as this company gets re-rated. So dropping into the weekly chart, we can see this really nice rising trend line since March 2025. And I do remember this pullback at the time, and it did get a bit scary as we hit these, $5 level down here. But since then, we saw this consistent uptrend throughout 2025, moving into late 2025, where we extended at the top of the range there. Now what we've seen since then is a really nice orderly pullback, and really what we created was this very nice looking flag. Throughout this period as well, we've also seen on all the big pullbacks, volume declines. We've seen a really beautiful pullback in the MACD. The MACD is now cooling up just at the zero line, just starting to show that the momentum is coming back. Throughout this period, the ADX line has cooled off, but again, the red DI line showing the presence of sellers and the power of the sellers has not been able to make it above the 25, showing that those sellers really haven't been able to cause significant damage to the price chart. And we can see now recently we've got the green DI poking its head up again at exactly the same time that we've seen this weekly breakout above the flag, and that was accommodated with large volume, exactly what we want to see. This volume coming in, surging through as that flag panel is broken. So this is a really nice volume contraction into consolidation pattern, the MACD coiling up nicely. And we're also seeing on the weekly RSI, if we pull that one up here, we can see through this period when we had this flag forming, that the RSI 20 has pulled back but couldn't pull back below the 50, the RSI 5, again, really not being able to pull beyond previous lows in the RSI. And now we're seeing the RSI 20 and the RSI 5 show that strength into this breakout. So, from my weekly checklist, we've got a trend intact with higher highs and higher lows throughout. We've seen a really nice orderly pullback. We've got a clearly defined resistance that has now been broken in the last week. And I think this is a textbook setup now for IREN to start to continue to show this price appreciation, pushing up beyond previous highs in that 70 range and pushing up above $100. We'll take a look at the daily chart just to reinforce everything we've been saying here in terms of timing. We can see that rising trend line in place. We can see the flag that's there. We've had this pullback. We can see that the MACD has gone into the area below zero, but is now starting to move up. We've got this kind of really nice reverse divergence coming in here. We can see the volume that we saw earlier that's really come in on this pullback. Our descending flag, we can see that this area here prior was not a weekly close, this one there. So we have achieved the weekly close on this breakout. But as that price is coiled into that triangle, obviously there's been less and less volume as we've dropped down here as well. So this really sets up nicely. We've seen the market momentum wear off. What we're really now watching for our entry is we can see here through this area here that we've still got some work to do. So I really would like to see price really get up into this area of around 56, 57 to really confirm this breakout. Some targets for you. Obviously, these all-time highs would represent the first target, so around that kind of $76 level there. Then moving on up, if we saw anywhere around the $94 to $95 level, and then finally I'm looking for anything over $100. Again, what we do is we continuously assess. We don't sort of set and forget. So we'd want to be looking at what the indicators are telling us, what the price is telling us, what the volume's telling us at that stage, and assess the thesis there. So that's it from me. To sum it all up, IREN has everything I look for in a candidate: a powerful underlying macro tailwind in AI infrastructure. We've got kind of company fundamentals with a really unique position in the marketplace there as well, with being fully integrated across power, across locations, across build out, and across the capital story. And finally, we can see that the charts across the board, primarily on the weekly, monthly, are telling us that now's the time that IREN could be getting ready for its next breakout. So I hope you found value in this video. If you have, you know what to do. Give me a like. Make sure you press the subscribe button, press the bell so that you get notifications for more videos like this. And I will be seeing you next week with another breakout chart. Thanks.